Okay, so imagine this. You've got to build an entirely new way of thinking for a faith that is just exploding across the world. You've got these incredible philosophical tools from the ancient Greeks, but they don't really fit your new belief system. This was the exact challenge facing Augustine of Hippo. And his solution? Well, it would literally shape Western thought for 1,000 years. So let's dive into how he pulled it off. Right at the heart of Augustine's whole project was this absolutely massive question. I mean, think about it. Our world is constantly changing. Things are born, they grow, they decay. And yet somehow we seem to have a solid grasp on things that don't change, like mathematical truths or concepts like justice. How is that even possible? This is the giant puzzle Augustine set out to solve. So, where does Augustine even start? Well, his starting point was Plato. He saw the absolute genius in the Greek philosophers' ideas, but he knew they needed a major Christian renovation. See, for Plato, every chair you've ever sat in is just a flawed physical copy of a perfect eternal idea of a chair, what you might call chairness, that exists in this higher spiritual realm. These perfect blueprints for everything, from chairs to courage, he called the form. Okay, but here's the problem. If you're a Christian like Augustine, you can't have some separate, competing reality of perfect forms just floating around out there. There's only God and what God creates. So what do you do with Plato's forms? He couldn't just throw them out, they were too powerful, but he couldn't keep them as they were. This was the core challenge. And this is Augustine's brilliant solution. He didn't get rid of the forms, he just moved them. He relocated them into the very mind of God. These divine blueprints are what he called the rationes aeterna, the eternal reasons. So that perfect blueprint for chairness, it's not in some other dimension, it's an eternal thought in the mind of the Creator. But wait, how do those perfect ideas in God's mind actually shape our messy, physical world? Augustine's answer was a second related concept, the rationes seminales, or the seminal reasons. Think of it like this. If the eternae are the blueprints in God's mind, the seminales are like the divine code, the software, planted inside creation itself. It's what gives an acorn its oakness, those internal instructions to grow into what it's truly meant to be. Okay, so if the blueprints for all of reality are tucked away in God's mind, how do our little human minds ever get access to them? Well, this leads us straight to Augustine's incredible theory of knowledge. Augustine looked at the big answers of his day and basically said, nope, not gonna work. He couldn't accept Plato's idea that our souls just remembered the forms from a past life, because that's not Christian teaching. But he was too much of a Platonist to accept Aristotle's idea that we could figure out perfect truths just by looking at imperfect stuff. He needed a third way. His completely unique answer was a concept called divine illumination. Okay, imagine you're in a pitch-black room filled with furniture. The furniture's there, right? But you can't see it. Then someone flips on a light. The light doesn't create the furniture, but it lets your eyes finally see what was there all along. For Augustine, God acts like that light for our minds, allowing us to recognize the eternal truths that are already embedded in the world all around us. And this wasn't just some philosophical idea he pulled out of thin air. Augustine grounded it right in the Bible. He pointed to this verse from the Gospel of John, and he identified this universal divine light with the Logos, with Christ himself. So for Augustine, the very same divine reason that ordered the universe is the one that lights up our minds so we can understand it. Now, the implication of this idea is, well, it's staggering. According to Augustine, you don't know anything, from simple math to deep moral truths, without God's active, constant help. This single idea that human reason completely depends on divine grace will become a cornerstone of medieval thought, influencing pretty much everything for the next 1,000 years. But even with this divine light, how could he be sure we weren't just completely wrong about everything? Augustine came up with this powerful argument against total skepticism centuries before Descartes made it famous. He said, the very act of doubting proves you exist. If I am mistaken, I exist. You have to exist in order to be mistaken in the first place. The mind knows with absolute certainty that it's real. So this focus on the mind as the place where we find certainty, well, that leads us to one of Augustine's most revolutionary and, honestly, mind-bending ideas, his theory of time. Augustine kicks things off with a riddle that still messes with us today. Just think about it for a second. The past is gone. It's over. The future hasn't happened yet. So it really seems like only the present moment, this tiny sliver of now, is real. But if that's true, where are the past and the future? Do they even exist? Augustine's answer was to stop looking outside, at clocks or calendars, and to look inward. He argued that time isn't some external thing. It's a psychological reality. The past doesn't exist back there somewhere. It exists right here, right now, in your mind, as a memory you are experiencing in the present. And this just brings his whole theory into sharp focus. The past, present, and future aren't three different places on a timeline. They are three functions of your mind, and they're all happening right now. You have a present memory of the past, a present experience of what's happening, and a present anticipation of the future. The whole of time is located right inside our consciousness. But our experience of time, this world of change and succession, is completely different from God's. See, since God is perfect and unchanging, he doesn't experience a past that's gone or a future that's coming. For God, everything is just one eternal, unchanging now. He sees all of our moments, past, present, and future, all at once, perfectly. So, how does this entire amazing system, from truth in God's mind to time in our soul, lead us all the way back to God? Well, it all comes together in his final argument. He argues like this: we all know certain truths that are eternal. They don't change. 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. So he reasoned these individual little truths must somehow be part of some bigger, ultimate truth with a capital T. And what is that eternal, unchanging source of all truth? Well, for Augustine, there's only one possible answer. That has to be God. So when you boil it all down, Augustine's grand project was this total Christian renovation of philosophy. He took Plato's forms and put them in God's mind. He said we can only know truth because of a divine illumination. He located time itself inside the human soul, and he argued that every truth we ever discover ultimately points us back to God. This framework didn't just answer old questions. It created a whole new way of seeing ourselves, God, and reality that would define the Western world for 1,000 years. And it leaves us with a pretty provocative question. If every aha moment, every flash of insight we have is only possible because of a divine light, then where do our best ideas really come from?